Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle for the third stream of the day. Leicester City are back in championship action this weekend then. Can Leicester end this winless run? 4 consecutive draws for Leicester in the last 4 games in the championship. It's going to be a tough one at the Swansea.com stadium, isn't it, at the weekend? Alan Sheehan, ex-Leicester City man, really sort of hypes his Swansea side up to take on Leicester in South Wales at the weekend. And yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game. Will Leicester be better in the final third? Will we score goals? It remains to be seen. I'm going to be joined by the boys in a minute. Let's see if everyone's in. Rich, how are we? Welcome back again. How are we, Keith? Hope you're good, mate. Guys, as always, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't subscribed already. Please get down and do so. It'll help me out massively. And let's get my guests in. Steve, how are we?
Evening. I've had some food, so ready to go again.
Lovely. So tonight, we've got a sports reporter from the Wales Online who covers Welsh football. Swansea, Cardiff, Wrexham, I'd say Newport as well. Tom Coleman. Tom, how are we, mate?
Evening, gents. How are we?
Tom, can I ask you a question, actually?
Go on.
Is Swansea SCFC or is it SCAFC?
That's a good question, actually. I would say SCFC, but I think it's I wouldn't use that on a hashtag because it's taken up by Stoke City, I think. So
what is the normal hashtag?
If you're thinking on the hashtag side of things, it's hashtag Swans.
Swans.
Yeah.
There we go. That'll help me in future preferences then. But no, welcome to the channel, Tom. Let everybody know what you do at the Wales Online, mate.
Sorry, say it again, mate. Sorry.
Let everybody know what you do regarding the sports writing at the Wales Online.
Yeah, so I cover Swansea City for Wales Online and the Welsh national team. So yeah, covering all the ins and outs at Swansea City. It was been a busy summer, so there was a lot of transfer talk to sink my teeth into, and then follow Swansea City. Most home games and most away games. So yeah, it's never dull. It's never dull.
No, but it always bloody rains in South Wales when bloody Leicester go there. It's never a pretty bloody sight when the sun comes out. I know some teams in the Championship sort of moan about the weather and get games called off, but I'm bloody hope Swansea have got a suitable pitch to play against Leicester. Steve, what's your sort of thinking then? Obviously, last time we took on Wrexham in the Championship. It's obviously the Welsh double-header this week for Leicester. 1-1 draw against Wrexham. What do you sort of pinpoint out of the big talking points out of that game?
Well, just quickly, you'll be pleased to know it's going to be raining on Saturday as well, so it hasn't changed. You'll be still be getting wet, Jack. So that'll be fun. Yeah. I mean, the game on Wednesday was frustrating. First half, I think we controlled it and we were, the better side and quite dominant. And then I think from the sort of 60th minute onwards, when we made a few subs, it turned into a bit of a scrappier game. And, they hit the ball down the channels, and we know we're quite weak from doing that because Vestergaard hasn't got any pace. So when you could do that and you get behind the fullback, you're going to have the chance to cut inside. Look, overall we were disappointed to get a draw, but yeah, I just think it was a bit poor. We should have been better in the second half, but fair play to Wrexham for coming back and getting back into the game. And to be fair, they also could have been 1-0 up because of our mistakes with Hamza. So yeah, I'll take it as much as it annoys me.
I think it just sums up our season, to be fair, so far. Conceding sloppy goals, we have that sort of mentality where we sort of look at oppositions and think, yeah, well, this is an easy 3 points for us, we won't have to do much. They're just going to not do a lot in the game. That's maybe how we sort of looked at it against Wrexham, went 1-0 up and thought one goal's enough. But it wasn't. We never killed them off. They obviously got the goal through Nathan Broadhead with a Vestergaard and Oliver Skip mistake. But this is the thing with Leicester and why we're getting in these sort of messes. It's our own doing, isn't it? We cause our own problems. It's not teams having to cause problems for us to concede the goals that we're conceding. And this is the same thing that happens against Wrexham, and obviously in our last away game against West Brom, we caused our own issues again, and hopefully against Swansea, we don't do that type of thing. But Tom, what did you sort of take from the 1-1 draw with Leicester and Wrexham at the weekend? Do you think it's a real big point for Wrexham, and do you think it's 2 points drop for Leicester?
Well, I didn't see it because I was watching Swansea v Millwall, so I haven't really caught up on this game. But I think Leicester, from the point of view down here, going into this game with Swansea, the point of view is that Leicester City have dropped quite a few points in games where perhaps you would have expected them to win. I think some of the draws have been frustrating, but I think if you put it in the context of the wider league, there's been a lot of draws all over the place.
Yeah.
So I don't think Leicester are unique in that respect. I mean, you only have to look at the last weekend. I mean, what were there, like 7 or 8 draws across the whole league? Like, it's a phenomenon that just shows how tight the Championship is this season. And there's Alan Sheehan himself has said it this season that there's a lot of fine margins, and the Swansea game at Blackburn on Tuesday night probably proved that they've come out on the right side of it on this occasion. But things are so tight now, and there's not many like really bad teams in the Championship this year, I don't think. And there's on the flip side of that, there's not really too many teams that you could say are really going to run away with it either. So it's quite a congested league at the moment. So I'm not sure. Yes, I can understand the disappointment in drawing so many games from a Leicester point of view, but I look at that squad and I just think it's too good to not be there or thereabouts at the end of the season.
I do think that we'll see this weekend and possibly in the next couple of game weeks where there are going to be a couple of teams that do make that distance up. I think Coventry are going to push ahead now. I've predicted that they'll probably win the next sort of 4 or 5, and at that point they'll be near 30 points. And very difficult to catch when you're a team that is scoring 22 goals so far this season. 50 plus 15 on your goal difference already. It's a scary thought as a Leicester fan to see Coventry so high up in the league, but I guess you have to sort of swallow it because they're in a good form. So.
Well, this is the same thing when you talk to Cardiff fans against Swansea. Cardiff are in a lower division now, aren't they, compared to Swansea? And Swansea fans, I think they're bloody happy with that, aren't they, Tom, down there?
I don't think Swansea fans think about Cardiff as often as you might think, to be fair. Yeah, there's the usual banter about it, but I think the main thing Swansea are focusing on, I mean, it's been a really, really good summer for them. They've brought in a clutch of really, really good, talented young players. So I think at the moment, a lot of Swansea fans are choosing to focus more on, can we make a push for the top 6? Because they've sort of flirted with it a couple of times. There's been a couple of times where they had, under Graham Potter and under Russell Martin, where, they had, late charges that almost resulted in the playoffs. And actually, they obviously got to a playoff final with Steve Cooper as well. So it's, there is still very much an ambition there to try and get back into that top 6. And I think most of the energy has gone into that. Obviously, it's a shame not having the South Wales derby this year because it's such a great occasion for Welsh football, and it is such a focal point in the calendar. But I think Swansea are probably quite enjoying being a league above, but I think they're choosing to focus more on themselves at the moment.
How have things gone under Alan Sheehan? Obviously, ex-Leicester City player as well. Takes on his former club. How happy are Swansea fans with him? Obviously, since he had took the role on as the new manager.
So it's been a bit of a mixed bag, I think. When he first took over last season, I think there was an understanding that Swansea just had to do whatever it took to get points on the board because they were in real danger of getting sucked into a relegation battle. And, the style of football that Alan Sheehan implemented was, I would describe it as functional in that it got the job done. It wasn't necessarily always pretty, but, they scored quite a few goals. I think their first game under him in that interim spell, they won 3-0 against Blackburn at home. So, they did have a free scoring streak in them, but I think, it comes back to what I said. It was quite a functional brand of football that was kind of more focused on grinding out results more often than not. And we've seen a bit of that this season. And that has created, like I said, a bit of a mixed response because Swansea are they've had a weird start, to be honest. They've picked up quite a few decent points. They've put points on the board. And I think you look at it purely from a numbers perspective, they've had a good start, but they've sort of done it without playing particularly well, with the possible exception of the Sheffield United game, which at the time felt like a really, really good controlled performance. But obviously with the difficulties Sheffield United have had since, that's sort of taken the gloss off that win a little bit, I think. But apart from that, they've not really had a sort of wow performance. Even that kind of cup win over Nottingham Forest, yes, it was a great result, but first half they were very much second best, as you would expect against a Premier League team.
Good goal, though, to win it. We were happy with that in the Midlands.
Yeah, no, I bet, yeah. But but I think that was it. I mean, the Forest game is probably a good demonstration of what Swansea have kind of produced in that they'll have really good spells and games.
Yeah.
And don't always take advantage of it. I mean, the Swansea City of old, I say of old, well, in the last few years, really, under Luke Williams, under Russell Martin, under Graham Potter as well, that they've had that possession-heavy game that they've sort of become known for. If you're coming to the Swansea.com stadium, you're going to come up against a team that's going to have probably around 60% of the ball. Sheehan, I think, kind of sees it a little bit differently. I think he's focused more on the intensity out of possession, which is becoming an increasing trend, to be honest. The possession-heavy game, I think, in general, is starting to phase out a little bit. And Swansea are really good on the press. They really do know how to press teams. They're really, really good at hitting teams on the transition. I would say the issue, though, at times has been in those games where they actually do have more of the ball. And we've seen that in the last couple of games, really. It's about having that sort of creative spark, that inventiveness, and that's sort of been lacking a little bit, really. And I think that's kind of been the sort of concern for some supporters. I mean, the game on Tuesday night was a classic example. I thought for the best part of an hour, I didn't think Swansea were particularly good, but they get back on level terms with a fantastic volley from Gonzalo Franco, and then in the second half, then Sheehan makes a few changes. Liam Cullen comes on, and they grab a winner on the counter attack. But I think, Sheehan said it himself. They've had games where they've played far better than that and not won. So grinding out those kind of results is sort of needed in the Championship, isn't it? But I think the questions over style are rumbling there.
Yeah.
But I think results have been good enough in that I don't think they've really kind of been pushed fully into the spotlight yet. I think if Swansea if results start to drop off, which I think they probably will at some point, I don't think Swansea are good enough to not have a sticky spell at some point. Then I think more questions are going to be asked of the style that Sheehan's implementing. But yeah, it's a very long-winded answer, but it's like I said at the beginning, it's quite a mixed response at the moment, and it's as long as results keep coming, I think things will be. I think there will still be some happiness at how things are going.
What's his sort of thinking ahead of Leicester, Alan Sheehan? Has he really commented much on it?
Well, I think Alan Sheehan, I think he sees this as one of the toughest games of the season. I was having a little chat with him after the press conference, and he was basically saying, he was listing off all these various players that he thinks in some ways are almost too good for this level.
Yeah.
I think he believes there are quite a few Premier League standard players still in that team, but I think one of the problems they've had against teams like Birmingham City, for example, I mentioned the press. I think Birmingham kind of navigated that quite well in that they kind of went a bit more direct in the style of play. They almost kind of bypassed the press by going over it, hitting it long, and getting it to the big man. I don't think Leicester are going to do that. From what I know about them, I think Leicester probably will try and play through Swansea, and I think the hope from a Swansea City point of view is that could potentially play into their hands a little bit.
Yeah, we're what it is with us, Tom. What I find frustrating is we'll get a goal and then we don't go for the kill. It proved it against Wrexham on Tuesday night. We need to see games out better than we do. I don't know whether it's the case that we underestimate teams depending on how low they are in the table at times. We thought of coming this league and we thought, you know what, we are a Premier League team, but we should be beating these teams. And you have no right to beat anybody in the Championship. You know how tough it can be, the unpredictability of it, the amount of draws that have come so far. And that's the Championship summed up to a T, to be fair. And we do sort of line our teams up differently sometimes. Obviously, he has stayed the consistency in most games of playing Jordan Ayew as the number 9, even though he's not a striker. Obviously, you've had, Andre Ayew, you obviously had at Swansea. It was his brother in that. So,
well, we've had both of them.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, they both played here.
Oh, what was Ayew like at Swansea?
Jordan was here, I believe it was the season they got relegated from the Premier League. I think they were both here during that season.
Interesting.
I
think go on.
I said, pull them.
Oh,
Jordan Ayew. Yeah, Andre, I understand, but I'm not a fan of Jordan Ayew and what he brings to the side, unfortunately.
I do sort of think with Swansea at the weekend that it's going to be the case what Wrexham did to Leicester. Sit off us, let us have the ball, and then they're going to be like, well, Leicester, well, what are you going to do with it? And against Wrexham, it proved that they didn't really do a lot with it at the weekend. And that was against West Brom on that Friday. We didn't do a lot with it. Wrexham didn't do a lot with it midweek. And do you think that's how Swansea play a lot of the time, Tom? Regarding that type of thing, that they do have a lot of the teams do have a lot of the ball against them, but then they always sort of find a way that they can create chances due to teams creating their own issues, like obviously Leicester have.
I don't think so. No, Swansea aren't a team that lets the other team have the ball. They're not like that at all. I think what I mean by moving away from the possession-based style of play is more that the intensity comes from the out of possession and winning the ball in good areas.
Yeah.
And the belief is if you do that well enough, you're going to end up having most of the possession anyway.
Yeah.
Because if you win the ball in good areas and you can play through the thirds, that's going to benefit you in terms of having possession. Possession is important, but I don't think it's seen as. I think Sheehan sees it more of a marker of success rather than the foundation of success, if that makes sense. So you look at a Russell Martin team, for example, it was about pass. You use the patience to try and unlock an opening, and hopefully something will happen. And you have that intensity to try and work through the lines and sort of pick up the lock essentially. Whereas Sheehan doesn't view that as quite so important. I think in terms of in possession, it's a lot more direct, but it is, if we don't have the ball, let's try and win it back quicker and win it back in a good area of the field. And if you do that, chances will come, possession will come, all of that will come. So I would say that's the main difference really. And it's not necessarily too disconnected from the sort of traditional Swansea way. When they were playing under Martinez, for example, and under Brendan Rodgers,
Yeah.
It was kind of like win the ball back, work it out to the flanks as quick as you can, and hit the burners on, hit teams with pace, this, that, and the other. They could play pretty possession-based football. They could do that, but I don't think it was necessarily the foundation that it sort of became under, Potter and the rest of it. So, yeah, I would say that's kind of the difference really between Sheehan and other Swansea City managers of recent years.
This has been Leicester's issue this season, Tom, is we'll have a lot of the ball, but we don't do anything in the final third with it. You're playing Jordan Ayew as a striker. He's not a striker, he's a cam. We haven't really got I say out and out striker, but Carranza's just come in. Daka's been here 4.5 years, probably too long. But Jordan Ayew, he relies on him as a number 9. He's no sort of Jamie Vardy, is he? Let's be fair. He's not got the pace of Jamie Vardy and that clinical instinct of goals. So we're sort of a side at the minute where we keep going down that right-hand side to get the ball to Fatawu, because he's the man who's creating a lot more. You've got Harry Winks in that midfield, who's the orchestra of get Leicester going forward. And obviously we've got Jordan James, who obviously plays for the Welsh national team, and that Swansea fans will obviously know him well. Being a good Welsh footballer and that, he's proved very impressive so far since coming in, Jordan James. I think another good performance by him at the weekend I think he can maybe add a goal maybe to the team. And I like his work ethic, the way he plays the midfield role. He's a proper number 8. Marty's tried playing him as a number 10 sometimes, and I think that sort of takes his game out the window, Jordan James. You play him as a number 8, which is strong point is it win the ball. Work ethic off the ball is fantastic, but then when you play him in that number 10 role, it's a more difficult role for him to play. And this is why I sort of look at Leicester. It's possession's fine, have that all you like, but possession doesn't win your games, does it, Tom? In this day and age in football, you've got to be able to do something with it and be clinical in the final third when you do create chances. And with Leicester, we've had 29 shots in our last 2 games, and we've only had 2 on target, and that says a lot how poor we are when we do come to that final third stage, that we're not having a lot of chances on target. We're just having them off target because we're starting to panic, and teams are forcing us back and making us play around the box. We're not sort of taking any chances or any risks. And that's sort of frustrating, isn't it? And I think Ipswich have had the same problem. Southampton have been the same. But that's something that we're sort of desperate to get right of this weekend's game, to be fair. And it sort of causes, with Swansea looking at Leicester and thinking, well, okay, then, how do we play against Leicester? Maybe they can sort of revert it a bit and say, we'll play a bit more convincing, where we sit off Leicester and let them have the ball going forward, and then sort of hit them on the counter-attack. Which when I watched Swansea last time, when was it? The 3-1 win that we beat them at the Swansea.com stadium last time. Enzo Maresca played possession-based football, but you've got to be more quicker, haven't you, Tom, in transition? And if you're too slow, teams have the opportunity still to sort of maintain that shape, don't they? And this is what I think we're really struggling with this season.
Yeah, look, I think the work on the transition is definitely becoming more and more important. I think that's, as I alluded to earlier when I was talking about Sheehan's style of play, it's a trend that I think we're seeing more of, especially in the Championship. Pretty much every team in the Championship now goes for that man-to-man press, doesn't it? And it's very difficult within that now to play that sort of possession-based game. And I think, we were having a chat about this earlier when we were talking about Russell Martin's struggles at Rangers, and if and when, and I think it probably is when, he gets the boot up there, where does he go? Does he go back into the Championship? I can't really see it, to be honest. I can't really see him getting a decent level job in England, because I'm just not sure the demand's there for that style of football anymore.
It's the same with Graham Potter, isn't it? He's been spat out at Chelsea and West Ham, and I can't see where he gets an English job for the time being.
Well,
I think you'd have to go abroad.
I think the problem with Potter is I don't think West Ham and Chelsea were culturally good fits for him.
No.
I don't think those two clubs were really set up to play the way that he wanted to play for very different reasons, I think. I mean, Chelsea are just a basket case. There's no real identity there. Everything is it's just a complete melting pot of ideas, and occasionally it works and occasionally it goes catastrophically wrong. And, there's bits there that are quite good, but, it doesn't feel like there's an underlying identity there. With West Ham, I think it's more the case that, it was just a personnel issue for me. I just don't think a lot of the players there were good enough or suited enough to how he wanted to play there. But I think with Potter, it's a little bit different just because I don't think he's quite as extreme as Russell Martin was.
Yeah.
But it is something that is starting to phase out a little bit. And I mentioned this in a piece I wrote about Sheehan style, which is, even Pep Guardiola, who has kind of been the harbinger of this. One of my other colleagues in the media called it possession porn. He was the kind of the first guy to get us all obsessed with it, and even he's kind of moving away from it a little bit now. I mean, to go to Arsenal and have 35% possession would have been unthinkable for Pep Guardiola as recently as 5 years ago. So, I think there is now this trend now where it's kind of more to do with intensity off the ball. And as I was saying to Jack, if you have the right level of intensity off the ball, I think there's a belief, certainly from a Swansea point of view, and certainly this is what Alan Sheehan thinks. If you do that part of the game right, the rest will follow anyway. You'll end up getting more possession anyway. And if you look at the stats, Swansea still do normally have the majority of possession in games. So it's not that they've completely surrendered that part of their identity. There is still some remnants of it there. I think the problem is when, as I said earlier, those games where they're almost expected to dictate things and kind of expected to try and make things happen, they've sometimes lacked that creative spark. They've sometimes lacked that inventiveness to make something happen in the final third. But hopefully that will click soon because they've got some good players. They really do.
Yeah, I do think you missed Matt Grimes quite a bit in that midfield. That number 8 scored against us last visit to Swansea. Obviously, opened the scoring. And Steve, obviously, let's have a look at foot in both camps a little bit ahead of this one. We've got Andy King, haven't we, who's played for both clubs. We've had Nathan Dyer from Swansea, won the Premier League with Leicester, by the way. I remember that bloody game, Lloyd Dyer versus Nathan Dyer at the Liberty, and that was a bloody game. I think we bloody lost that game in the end.
But the best sideway move in football history, that wasn't it? Moving from Swansea to Leicester to win the Premier League. That's can't really complain for a season-long loan.
No. And then we've obviously had bloody Ryan Bennett. Dare our bloody name mentioned in my mouth, to be fair. He was absolutely crap for Leicester, let's be fair. Never to be seen again in a Leicester shirt, Ryan Bennett, even after he'd loaned from Wolves. So there's been a fair few. Obviously, you look at managers, you've had Brendan Rodgers, you've had Steve Cooper. I think Brendan Rodgers is probably the best of the bunch, to be fair, when we talk about managers, Steve.
Well, it's better than Steve Cooper. I get a shiver down my spine whenever that name's mentioned still. So, not ideal. I mean, to be fair, that you've got a pretty good squad now. I say Tom, who do you support?
I'm a Newcastle fan, as you can probably tell from my thick Geordie accent.
Okay, so if you look at the Swansea squad, realistically, I think Viptonic would be a good fit for us. In all honesty, I think that's that's it. Vipotnik, somebody that I'd pluck out there and put him up front compared to who we have up front at the moment. That's for sure. The goalkeeper they've got is another Vigagoro, another sort of decent player. And they can play. Yep, that one. Yep. Another the team itself are very good at possession style football. They're fourth in the league on stats in regards to possession-based football. just behind the 3 that got relegated. So overall, look, they're a good squad, and I think we'd happily take a couple of their players. But I think it'll be a tight game on Saturday. In all honesty, I think a draw. I said draw in the prediction, so I'm sort of expecting that.
Well, I sort of look at this game as a tough game. It's not easy going to South Wales. I mean, it is a long travel in it from bloody Leicester. But the players have got to turn up, Steve. They can't keep going into game thinking that these games are walk in the park. You look at Swansea and Leicester. Leicester sits 6th, Swansea sit 8th. They're only 1 point between them both. Stats, Swansea haven't kept a clean sheet in 5. Leicester have won the last previous 2 at the Liberty. Well, Swansea.com Stadium, as Tom called it, right? But Leicester go unbeaten in this game, obviously by draws, 4 consecutive draws. But we've got to start winning from somewhere and picking up these points.
We do, but see, I made a prediction that we'd get 8 points from the last 4 in this game coming up. It seems like it's actually
don't make you get out that bloody
potentially 7 points, maybe 5. So, for a team that is going to want to sort of be at the top there, these are the sort of games you need to be winning, because Swansea are a good side. And realistically, you need to start putting yourself some distance between them, because we are going to get a points reduction, possibly 2 points reductions by the sounds of it today. So, as many points on the board as you can get. And yeah, it will be a tough game going down there. It's going to be a wet one as well, so that'll be even better. I'm not looking forward to it, Jack. I said on Tuesday night, does anybody want my ticket? Because I'm not looking forward to it.
Tom, what are sort of how you see Swansea lining up against Leicester?
I don't think it'll be a million miles away from what we've seen in the last few games. I think goalkeeper and the back 4 pretty much picks itself.
Yeah.
So Vigouroux in goal. And then you'd have a back 4 of Key, Cameron Burgess, Ben Cabango, Josh Timon. And then I think you'd probably have 2 6s in there. I suspect it will be Marco Stamanic and Gonzalo Franco.
Yeah.
I think out wide, I think we'll see Ronaldo come back on the right-hand side. On the left, Inusa could start again. I think it's either going to be Inusa or Omji Song. And then, in the middle, I would normally say Ethan Galbraith, but I think he probably needs a bit of a rest, to be honest. He's had a fantastic start to his Swansea City career, but he's had a couple of games where he just looked a little bit off it. So I wouldn't be surprised if he got a rest. I think possibly Liam Cullen comes in, probably to play that 10 role, and then I think it's a straight shootout then between Jan Verbotnik and Adam Ider up front.
Lovely. Before I let you go, Tom, I know you're a busy man, aren't you? I don't want to keep you too long. I'm going to let you have the last one then before we carry on talking about Leicester. Score prediction for Swansea Leicester.
I quietly fancy Swansea for this one. I've got to be honest.
Fair enough.
But I think I can see Leicester scoring. So I'll go 2-1 Swans.
Fairs. Tom, before I let you go, mate, let everybody know what you do at the Wales Online.
Yeah, so people can find my work on Twitter. I've got the handle Tom E. Coleman. I'm also on Instagram, and I've even made the move to TikTok. I've joined the dark side of TikTok, so you can also find me there as well.
Lovely stuff. Cheers, Tom. All the best, mate.
Nice one, lads. Take care, and do say hi if you see me on Saturday.
I will do. Cheers, pal.
Nice one. Take care, lads.
Steve. No, I'm in the bloody Swansea end now, mate. It's not bloody. It's bloody territory. I'll tell you what. We're gonna. Should we do a little lineup thing then? Should we have a mess about with different things before we look at Luke from Swanscast and what he's had to say ahead of the game and his team selection and that. Right, Steve. What we going for goalkeeper?
Jakob. I mean,
Okay,
that's an
so
obvious one. That one, innit? We can all. To be fair, I think we can. Well, yeah, I think it will be Jakob in goal. I think Ricardo at right back.
let me find Ricky P. Where is he? There he is.
Yep. Fass and Vestergaard.
Oh God. Yeah. Would you not bring a Coley back in?
No, not right now. I think they performed okay on Tuesday, even with the goal they conceded.
Yeah.
I think you bring in Christensen.
You think Christensen starts?
I do.
Where is he? Victor Christensen, yeah. Midfield too?
Winks and JJ.
Right, okay. Sam Winks. Jordan James. Yeah, which is, I think that's quite comfortable, to be fair.
Yeah,
Front four.
Monga on the left.
Yeah,
I think Mavridis he might not feature because he's potentially injured. Abdul, on the right.
Yeah, and then
Bobby could have a read in that cam position.
What did you think to him, Steve, Bobby?
I thought he played well. See, the issue is when we took him and JJ off, we lost all sort of composure in that in the midfield. I think he was he was energetic. He kept holding the ball pretty well. We closed people down. I think overall it was a decent performance for him.
Do you know what?
Sorry, just last one. And then I think IU up top.
Hell no, not bloody VK. I mean, that's Steve's team, but I'd put Hamza Chowdhury at left back, to be fair, instead of bloody Thomas and who are you going for up top?
IU.
Jordan IU. I mean,
the thing is, with Hamza doesn't play left back. He's never played left back, so it'd be
could you not switch Ricardo? I know Ricardo can play either side.
No, he's stronger on the right. And the issue, if you put Ricardo on the left and he's inverting, Vestergaard isn't quick enough. Whereas Wout-Fass has the pace with Ricardo pushing into the midfield. Wout-Fass as a covering defender works, but we found out on Tuesday that if you switch it over and put Ricardo on the left and he inverts, Vestergaard gets beaten down the channel. So it's completely lopsided if that happens.
What about Carranza?
No, I don't think I've seen anything from him that means that he should start. As much as I hate to admit it, I use probably our best striker, even though he's not a striker. But I'd also potentially say the thing is, Daka, I don't think he played too badly on Tuesday night. Okay, he got the assist and his passing wasn't great, but realistically, he gave us the runs that a striker would give us. He was making. I think I saw more in the first 20 minutes of his running against the defense and balls going through than I've seen with IU at all season. So, it's a toss-up, but I think IU starts. But realistically, I wouldn't be against Daka starting, mainly because he's a proper striker, even if he's a Make-A-Wish kid.
Well, I say with Daka, to call him a proper striker, man can't bloody score in it a barn door.
Well, there is that as well, yes.
It's one of them where Daka should be nowhere near the team. He should have been sold by now, in my opinion. I was surprised he started against Wrexham. He did nearly get on the end of two balls, didn't he, when there was played in the box. Mm-hmm. He set up Jordan James lovely, but Manowitz spends time on the floor in it, and it's going to be a soggy pitch at the bloody Swansea Stadium and Saturday, and it's going to feel the bloody water more times than the ball at his feet, to be fair. The thing is with Patson is I think we should have took the 8 million for him in the summer. I don't see why we stuck a £10 million bloody fee on him. I think we should have just took with what we got. But this is the problem. We always knew it would be a problem, Steve, when Jamie Vardy left. It was always about who would replace Jamie Vardy and can we get a good enough striker to replace him? And obviously the answer is no. Yeah,
no, we didn't. We haven't replaced Vardy. And I don't think unless you spend money, you can replace Jamie Vardy. If we can't afford £3 million for Richard Kone, who I think would have done wonders in this team, your best option is to loan one in. And looking at it, I would have probably preferred to have loaned a striker from the Premier League rather than bringing in a lad that hasn't really done well in Holland. Fair enough. He did okay in the MLS, but realistically, he's not shown anything in his 3 appearances that he's made off the bench to suggest that he's a good enough player for the Championship either. I think if he starts games and we see it starting from the front, then great. But it's all well and good saying, let's start Julian. But again, what can you think of anything of note other than the shot he had over the bar against West Brom that he's done since he's been on the pitch? And diving? Well, he didn't really dive, but he got booked for diving. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, it's one of them. Like with Jordan Ayew, he's never going to play as that number 10, is he? He's never going to start on a game in that number 10. But then I sort of look at Bobby, but then obviously Aaron Ramsey's going to be coming back again. But we don't know. No, it's a fair point. It is, Ivan. He could start games and score an hat-trick. You never know. What's happened to Louis Page? He was
injured.
Minute, isn't he?
Yeah, he was injured. Then he's played in the last couple of under 21 games. So it seems like he's dropped back down.
It doesn't seem like a super sub player. He's probably best playing longer from the start. That's what I'd sort of say with Carranza. I don't believe he's a super sub. I think he's more of a starter. But the thing is, you're not going to bloody drop Jordan Ayew, are you, for Carranza up front? And if Jordan Ayew's not playing, bloody Patson Daka's clearly got ahead of him. So it's a problem. Ramsey's back, yeah. Let's just bloody hope he stays on his feet this time and don't end up.
He'll be on the bench for the weekend, I'd say.
Let's talk about 2 players from Tuesday night's game. I'm going to talk with Jordan James with you first. I haven't really spoke to you about Jordan James actually. How impressed have you been with him, Steve? Like his work rate off the ball. He's a real engine, isn't he? He's proved it. But then you look at when he has got the ball, I think he seems very good with it. And I think he's improving. He's obviously not the finished article at the minute, but you can just see he's enjoying it the more game time he gets. What was your thoughts on Jordan James?
I gave him man of the match on Tuesday. Look, he got lucky with his goal, to be honest. That was a bit of a poor strike that managed to sneak in there, but it all counts. But as a player next to Winks, he performed that role better than anyone else that's played that this season. He's above Samari for me already. He's that box-to-box engine midfielder that we've been desperately crying out for. He can't play in a 10. I don't want him to see him in that attacking midfield role again. I just don't think he's good enough in that position. Let him be that sort of engine in midfield where he can push the ball forward. He can open up his body to be the access point for Winks to lay the ball on off onto, and links up well with Abdul on the other side. So realistically, I think he and Abdul and Winks are probably the first names on the team sheet for me every week at the moment. I think at some point it will be a midfield of Winks, JJ, and Ramsey. And that fills me a lot more confidence than anybody else that we've got at the moment.
What about Bobby Reid?
Yeah, he played all right. I think we shit on him because of last season, but realistically, he wasn't that bad last season. He came off the bench a few times and had an impact at times. Had a couple of goals that were disallowed as well through VAR last season. I think overall, he's somebody that isn't on a high wage. He's not going to kick up a fuss by the looks of it. And he's a decent squad player. And I think actually he's probably happy playing in the Championship as long as he gets some minutes on the pitch. I don't think he's going to demand starting every week. If he wants to be here, then you play him. I think he's better than a lot of players that we've had in the last 18 months.
Yeah, I think it's his best performance at Leicester shirt on Tuesday night. I gave him second man of the match because I thought he were good, I thought he were decent, and everything seemed to have changed when them two came off the pitch. Yeah. That triangle worked well between Winks, Jordan James, and Bobby D. Cordova-Reid. I think it works quite well. Bobby's good for the Championship. Was one of the few positives. I do think he's a passion player, Bobby. You see the way he speaks obviously before the game and in his sort of presser after the game against West Brom. He knows what he needs to do, and injuries have not been obviously his best friend. But then you look at this man, Ben Nelson. A decision's got to be made on him, hasn't it, Steve? Didn't really set the world alight, did he, in that Huddersfield game? He hasn't started a league game so far. it's a real sticker point, isn't it, with Ben Nelson? It's frustrating that we're not seeing him start and we're not seeing him get games at all. How do you sort of see like the thing with Ben Nelson now going forward?
I get the frustration, but the problem with Nelson is that he's very similar to Yannick Vestergaard. And at the moment, Yannick hasn't really put a foot wrong so far this season. He's been fairly consistent with his performances. So you wouldn't play them both together because they're both too slow. At the moment, I don't think Nelson is the quickest defender, but he's a good on the ball defender. But so is Yannick. So you have to have one or the other, and then the partnership would be whoever can progress the ball up the pitch like Wout Faes does. I think if Wout had left, we'd probably see more of him. But unfortunately, he's the one that's taken the hit because we've still got 3 defenders in front of him. I think he goes out on loan in January for the end of the season, and then I think he's only got 1 year left on his contract. Did he sign a new deal? I can't remember, but I'd be worried. I'd be worried because if a club comes sniffing for him in the summer, he's probably likely to leave.
Should we have a look what Luke said from Swansea Cast, what he sent us in a video, and then we can discuss what his thoughts are?
Hello, Luke from Swansea Cast here. Some quick thoughts ahead of Swansea against Leicester on the weekend. I do think it's going to be a hard game for Swansea. Leicester, obviously, a team that come down from the Premier League. One of the ones always going to be tipped to go back up and do quite well by the nature of the teams that come down. I think they've had probably the best start, actually, of all of the teams that have come down. They've only lost 1 game, drawn quite a few. I know there's a points deduction potentially lingering that people are waiting for, but I think in terms of the squad that you've kept, it's been quite strong. There's a lot of good players within there, and I think it'd be quite a hard game for Swansea. We've got off to a good start ourselves. We haven't lost a home game so far this season, so I'm hoping that can continue. But I think this will be a big challenge for us on the weekend. Maybe we can make it 5 draws in a row for Leicester City. Going into the team, I don't think there'd be too many changes really to the team that we saw from the last 2 games. There was a couple of rotation for the midweek game against Blackburn, but I would expect Ronald to come back in on the right wing for Benson. Potentially we'll see a start for Adam Eder, though not guaranteed because Zan Potnik is in really good form. I just think maybe some fresh legs will go a long way here, and potentially Yalkuye would come back into midfield. Not sure which one would sort of drop out for him though, so we'll have to wait and see if that is a change that's made by Alan Sheehan. Otherwise 4-3-3 will be the formation, a flat 3 in midfield, not really an attacking midfielder there, which sometimes is a bit frustrating for some fans, but that's what Alan Sheehan has opted to sort of go for. His goal is to make us hard to beat and hopefully then, get the results as a result of that. And it's worked for the most part since he's taken over, firstly as caretaker and then in the full-time job. Sometimes, however, we do struggle a little bit to create opportunities and to score. So that's probably what you'll see from Swansea City going into this one. A lot of the ball, perhaps we don't use it well enough when we do have it. Thanks for having me on as always, and I'm sure I'll catch you later in the season.
Sounds a bit like Leicester, doesn't it? The last part that he said, we have the ball and we don't really keep it well enough.
Yeah, what I would say is we keep forgetting. I'm forgetting to mention this, but Alan Sheehan was a rat for Leicester. It was an absolute rat the way he left this club. So I hope we batter them on Saturday.
Oh, you're not his biggest fan there?
No, well, he's a rat. Do you not remember when he was in 2008? He refused to sign a contract, so he had to go out on loan to Leeds to get him out the door.
Yeah,
he was an absolute rat. What a snake!
Scored that goal against Forest in the cup. We remember that. Yeah. You forgot about that, have you? No. Yeah, I think it's a tricky game. It's a game. I said on the predictions earlier, we can't afford to draw again. You look at what is it, 12th up to about 6th. What we saw, so Leicester's on 13, so down to 12. There's only 2 points behind it, so we can't afford to put. So if teams win behind us, we could probably end up about 13th, maybe 12th, 13th, and that's not good. But yeah, we need to win. Last time we visited there, we won 3-1. Yannick Vestergaard scored, Steve, if you remember it. It's his left bollock, didn't it, or whatever it touched. Fatawu scored, and Iheanacho scored in that game. They scored with Grimes. But that game was a bit of a more tough game as well. I think Swansea started off the better out of the two at the start, and I think that's maybe what we'll see at the weekend, and they'll start off a little better than we are, and then we'll sort of grow into the game as we do. And that first goal is very much crucial. But then, like Ivan says, 0-0 written all over this one.
I said a draw. I said 1-0, didn't I? But I think they'll score first, and then we'll come back into it. It always seems to be that either we score first and we sit back, or they score first and we have to attack the game. So, look, I just hope that, because it's going to be a very long. Are you driving down? Or are you getting the bus down?
Getting the bus down.
Oh, unlucky. So you get down there about sort of 1:30 then, right?
3-hour journey, is it? 3.5 hours?
Well, it's 4.5 for me driving down from Lincoln. So, you're slightly closer than I am, which is a pain in the ass, but it is what it is. But we didn't actually forget about the game now, Jack. We need to ask the bigger question. We don't actually know what's the place to eat this week, because we can't ask anybody.
Well, this is the problem. Yeah.
Where's the meal? Everyone's like holding on for us to find out where we're going to get some food.
Right, so you're asking the man himself. I went there, was it last time? There's a nice chip shop across where all the Swansea fans go, across on the stadium. I think it's called Ross's. It's called Ross's. Yeah, I didn't rate it really last time, to be fair.
You know me, don't go there, it's shit. Right, okay. Do you know what? I've just seen, right, that there's a wing stop in Swansea, so I'm probably going to wing stop again.
How far is that from the ground?
Oh, I can tell you. Hang on.
Go on.
Maps. I don't think it'll be because the city centre. I think it's a good half an hour walk.
I'll get the steps in.
Well, I'm parking near the marina area, so I'm okay. Swansea Stadium.
Are you going to be walking from there? Are you?
Yeah. It's get some steps in. It's a 42-minute. Well, no, it's probably about a 35-minute walk if you're not slow.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to walk past it, so I might as well go there and get some more wings. I love a wing. So I was great wings in West Brom. Let me tell you.
Yeah, Joe, you probably had the best thing on the night. To be fair, I had a bloody burger.
Your burger looked terrible.
£10. Yeah, it weren't ideal. It probably should have cost me about £7. To be fair, I'd have paid £7 at least. But football prices, to be fair, Steve, and they've got them at the money, haven't they?
I guess, yeah. So you'll probably get a fish and chip shop or go to the Harvester, right? That's what you'd end up doing. There's a Nando's. There is a Nando's across the road.
See, with the Harvester, it's the case of the only thing real good there is the bloody salad bar, really. Cold salad, if you're interested in that. If you're on a health kick, then I think that's the great thing. Nando's, grilled chicken in there, bit of medium chicken, lovely again. I'll tell you what I did do before we end this. I went Nando's the other day before the home game. I had the peri mac wrap with the medium Nando's sauce on it, and it had chicken and obviously macaroni and cheese, mate. Fucking heaven, telling you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
that's the new
whenever
menu.
I go to a gig with my wife and quite a lot of time, yeah. So we always go to a Nando's whenever we go to a gig. It's like a tradition that we've had for the last sort of 3 years. So me, my wife, and my brother who comes along, and my younger sister as well. So yeah, we always go to Nando's. But I always order the same thing, which is a double chicken burger with peri chips and garlic bread. But I'm going to change it. I'm going to try the Mac.
You're the same as me. Double chicken burger. We'll see what you see. Good minds think alike. You see.
Yeah. But I am I'm at a gig on Sunday in Birmingham, so we'll be going to Nando's then. So I'll try it then.
Yeah, I'd recommend
This is what people tune in for. They don't talk to us about football. They want to hear about the food.
That's what it is. We might as well make a bloody food channel, haven't we? Jack and Steve review. It's every away game we go to, we just stick it on the channel and see what happens. People might enjoy it. No. Yeah. So your prediction, then we're 1-1.
Yeah.
I could probably see that happening, to be fair, but I'm gonna stick 2-1. To be fair with Leicester. I always order half a chicken. Always think to myself, I should try exactly either, mate. There's no wrong with trying different things. I know some things might not look appetizing, mate, but it's almost a taste.
I'll be honest with you. I did actually have the broccoli the other day, the tender stem broccoli with some Perinay sauce on it. Oh, that was good. That was good.
Broccoli?
Yeah, damn right. You got to get your greens in when you can.
Who has broccoli?
Well, me, clearly.
I could have it on a roast dinner, but not like I can't go out my way to Nando's and get broccoli.
The thing is, I'm married a vegetarian, so broccoli
Right.
is something that we eat all the time. So you know, it's a staple in our house.
Quiche is quite nice and all, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, try it. Try something new. Get the broccoli with peri sauce and the peri salt as well. Oh,
lovely. Right, that's it from us then. Matchday vlogs out Saturday. I probably will see Steve, to be fair. He will be behind me at some point. Probably jump me when we score, but that'd be it. But there we go. Night, guys. Thanks for watching. Go and check out the championship predictions with Steve and myself and Rich as we go through all the championship predictions. Wrexham Birmingham is the next game, which is tomorrow. I'll be watching that one, so there will be no show tomorrow. We've decided to do the preview tonight. And thanks for watching, everyone. Really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this stream, hit the like button for us. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And fingers crossed we can get something out of the Swansea game. We won't go hot and bloody disheartened. But will the Foxes' winless run end? It only remains to be seen. So Leicester, sort your fucking selves out. And let's get to Swansea and let's win. So see you later. Take care. And we'll catch you soon.